This is a McLaren 620R, and not only is it literally a racing car you can drive on the road, but it's pretty important because it marks the end of McLaren's Sport Series. It is the ultimate and last version of its sports car, the 570S. Now, you've seen people drive it on the road, but now I'm going to see what it's like out on track. Don't be mistaken, the 620R might look like a 570S, but when you peel back the skin, it's actually a 570S GT4 racing car. Now, the main changes come in the form of the two-way adjustable shock absorbers, which offer 32 different settings for your bump and rebound. And that technically means that you could set your car up to be perfect on your favorite B road if you're seriously dedicated and have the right tooling. It's also 31 kilograms lighter than the 570S. And a lot of that comes down to those shock absorbers, which save 24 kilograms, 6 kilos at each corner. Then there are the wheels, which are center lock wheels, just like a racing car should be. And they come wrapped in slick tires that are bespoke to the 620R, which sounds like it will be a lot of fun on a racetrack, but quite expensive to replace. Now, you can't take slick tires out on the road, and in that case you would instead have Pirelli Trofeo Rs, which are about as close as you can get to a slick tire that's road legal. The aero package, meanwhile, is pretty much the same as the 570S GT4, which is really impressive because this car really is a racing car for the road. This rear wing, straight off the race car, although they have had to make some changes to make it road legal, including a brake light right here, and also the wing end plates are slightly more rounded off so you don't impale someone when driving down the street. It's a three-way adjustable wing as well, so you can have it in 3 different directions for lower or higher downforce. And when you're going 150 miles an hour, this thing can generate up to 185 kilograms of downforce. Now, that's paired up at the front of the car with a splitter. It's actually a slightly smaller splitter than what you get on the racing car, because if you took the racer splitter and put it on the road car, well, you'd take the front of the car off every time you went over a speed bump. Now, that's paired up with a couple of carbon fiber canards, and together they produce 65 kilograms of downforce. And the last thing, a carbon fiber roof scoop. You don't get that on the GT4, that's bespoke to the 620R. So it feels almost nothing like the road car. This is very much racing car through and through. First of all, there's the noise, which is really quite something. I'm quite glad I've got a helmet on at the moment, because if I didn't have this on, I think I'll probably be going a bit deaf. Now, the 570S was never the best sounding car in McLaren's range, and that's really the case on this near racing version of the 620R, but so you've got quite a boomy exhaust note, but it really does make you feel like you're driving a proper thoroughbred racing car that you could also keep at home in your garage. And then there's the steering. This is something I go on about all the time when I review cars, because it's almost your first point of contact with the road. It's so communicative, and yet it's something that car makers get so wrong. And that's because a lot of them have moved over to electric steering racks, which are more efficient and technically a little safer, but they're nowhere near as communicative as something like an older hydraulic rack, which is what you get in most McLarens and what we have here in the 620R. And that means that on a track like the Circuit of the Americas that I'm on at the moment, I can feel absolutely everything through the wheel. It's not very often you get to overtake a Senna. So I'm going down the straight at the moment, and I can feel the wheel gripping onto every little nook and cranny in the road surface. So COTA requires quite a lot of riding the curbs here. Because it's a big, modern, safe Formula One circuit, and therefore has acres of runoff. You can really clip and hang on to the curbs around here, and you can feel that coming through the steering rack. And we should really talk about the performance. So the 620R, as the name suggests, has more power than the 570S. You still have the same 3.8 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine that you get in the 570S, only power has been increased, as you can tell, to 620 horsepower. Now I thought that was going to turn this 620R into an absolute animal, but really it feels very manageable for a number of reasons. One, I'm on a very wide and very fast Grand Prix circuit, and so your sensation of speed is muddied somewhat. Also, there is a lot of downforce on this car. As I mentioned earlier, we've got 185 kilograms at 150 miles an hour. And that's not great if you're wanting to go fast in a straight line, but it does make the car very, very grippy in the corners. What also helps as well is that here we've got the Trofeo R tyres. These are the road tyres, not the purpose-built slicks that you can get if you want to take this thing out on a track day. But really, while a slick tyre would make this thing absolutely stick to the road, the Trofeo Rs are about as close as you can get to a slick tyre for the road. So personally, if you're in the market for a 620R, probably wouldn't bother with the slicks, and I would just stick with the Trofeos. Another thing that stands out to me is the gear shift. This isn't a smooth shift that you would get on a 570. It feels much more like a racing car. It's quite violent, but it all adds to that sense of you being in a race car. And that's what's fascinating about the 620R, is it feels completely at home out here on COTA, but on a road, could you imagine taking this thing to Tesco to go and get a pint of milk? It would be brutal. That also means it's extremely expensive at about £250,000. And because McLaren has only made, I don't know, about 200 or so, they've actually all sold out. So if you want to get your hands on one, you're going to need to keep your eye out on yesauto.co.uk to see if you can find one on the used market. And while values of McLaren seem to go down, I think something like a 620R in ultra limited numbers is going to be one you're going to need to save up for.
Now, racing-inspired road cars are nothing new. In fact, I drove the new Porsche 911 GT3 days before, and you can watch my review of that by clicking the link in the top right-hand corner, which is about as close as you can get to a cup car with number plates. And yet, it's still not quite as brutal as the McLaren. The 620R then really is for those not only wanting arguably one of the most hardcore track cars shy of the Senna, but also a slice of McLaren history to mark the end of the line of the brilliant 570S. If you like this video, and I know it's a little different to what we usually do, then I'd really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up and subscribe, because hey, we've got plenty more awesome videos just like this one.